Good morning friends, welcome back to Panika Tutorials. In this video, I want to discuss one more numerical question on shortest job first scheduling algorithm. These kind of questions will help you to understand the concept in a better way. So I request everyone to watch the complete video for better understanding. First let me read out the question, then I will discuss the solution with you. Look at the question carefully. Three process P1, P2, P3 with execution time as 20 units, 30 units, 10 units respectively. Each process uses first 20% of execution time in CPU, then 50% time in IO, then 30% in CPU. Find the average waiting time using shortest job first scheduling algorithm. Any scheduling algorithm will have two parameters. One is the criteria and mode. So, for the shortest job first scheduling algorithm, the criteria is burst time. Okay, the process which is having the less burst time will be dispatched to the running state. And then mode, we have two types of scheduling algorithms. One is preemptive scheduling algorithm, another one is non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. The shortest job first scheduling algorithm comes in the category called non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. Okay. Now let me solve this question related to the CPU burst time and the IO burst time using the shortest job first scheduling algorithm. They have three processes. Okay, we'll draw the table first. Process P1, process P2, process P3. Arrival time, does they mention? They have not mentioned the arrival time in the question. So we have to consider the arrival time as 0 units and the order of arrival is P1, P2, P3. And they have given the execution time as 20 units, 30 units, 10 units. Okay, now we have the CPU burst time. Let me keep it as CPU burst time as BT, IO burst time, IOBT, and again CPU burst time. Now they said first 20% of execution time in CPU. So if total execution time is 20 units, then 20% of 20 will be 4 and then 50% in the IO. So for 20, 50% is 10, then 30%, 20, 30% is 6. So it will be there in the CPU burst time. Now for 30, for the process P2, 20% will be 6, 50% will be 15 and 30% will be 9. For the process P3, 20% is 2, 50% is 5, 30% is 3. If you have a doubt for each process, you can compute the sum of CPU burst time, IO burst time and CPU burst time. You should get it as execution time. 4 plus 10 is 14, 14 plus 6 is 20, correct. For the process P2, 6 plus 15 is 21, 21 plus 9 is 30, correct. Process P3, 2 plus 5 is 7, 7 plus 3 is 10, which is equal to execution time. Okay. Now, let me draw the lines. Okay. I could not able to draw a straight line. Hope you can understand it, my situation. Okay. Now, they are asking us to compute the average waiting time using the shortest job first scheduling algorithm. To compute the average waiting time, first I need to compute the completion time of each process. To do that one, I need to draw the Gantt chart. Okay. Always the Gantt chart will start from 0 units of time. At 0 units of time, three processes such as P1, P2, P3 are there in the ready state. We have total 7 states in a process state diagram. To explain this concept, I will use the 3 states such as ready, running and wait. Totally we have 7 states such as new, ready, running, terminated, wait, suspended wait and suspended ready. Now 3 processes P1, P2, P3 are arrived to the ready state at 0 units of time. Is it clear? Now the order of arrival is P1, P2, P3. Now this scheduling algorithm is shortest job first scheduling algorithm. So we need to compute the burst time of process P1, process P2, process P3. Now the burst time is CPU burst time, not the IO burst time. So we need to compute the 4 plus 6, which is 10. 6 plus 9 is 15. 2 plus 3 is 5. So, among process P1, P2, P3, process P3 has the less burst time. So, process P3 will be dispatched to the running state from the ready state. Is it clear? Are you able to understand it or not? But however, how many units of time process P3 can run? Only 2 units of time. So, at 2 units of time, the process P3 needs the IO request. So, it will go to the wait state or suspended state. So, process P3 has entered to the wait state at 2 units of time, and how many units of time it need to spend in the IO? 5 units to complete its task. So P3 will come back to the ready state at 7 units of time. Is it clear for you? P3 has entered the IO wait state or suspended state at 2 units of time. To complete the IO request, it needs 5 units of time. So 2 plus 5 will be 7. So at 7 units of time, process P3 will come back to the ready state. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? Now, process P1 and P2 are there in the ready state. Now, you know the burst time of process P1 is 10, process P2 is 15. So, which one is less? Process P1. So, the shortest job is process P1. So, process P2 will be there in the ready state. Process P1 will be scheduled to the running state. So, process P1, how many units of time it will run? 4 units of time. So, at 6 units of time, process P1 will go to the wait state. And how many units of time it need to spend? 10 units. So, it entered at 6 units and it needs 10 units. So, 6 plus 10 will be 16. So, at 16 units of time, process P1 will come to the ready state. Is it clear? Now, only one process is there in the ready state, because at 6 units, process P2 only there in the ready state, process P1 and P3 are there in the wait state. So, process P2 will be dispatched to the running state. Okay, process P2 will be dispatched to the running state and it needs CPU 6 units. So, it will complete its CPU time, the first one, at 12 units of time. So, process P2 will enter the wait state at 12 units of time and it needs 15 units of IO device time. So, at 27 units of time, it will complete its IO, then it will come to the ready state. Is it clear? Now, at 12 units, by the time process P3 comes to the ready state. Is it clear? Even process P3 is there in the ready state at 7 units of time. We have done the process P2 for up to 12 units of time. Why? It is a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. Is it clear? So, process P3 is alone there in the ready state. So, it will be sent to the running state. Okay. Now, process P3, okay, needs 3 units of CPU time. At 15 units of time, it will complete its task and will go to the terminated state. So, process P3 is done. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? Now, process P1 will come to the ready state at 16 units of time. So, for 1 unit of time, CPU is idle. Okay. So, at 16 units of time, process P1 will come to the ready state. It will be dispatched to the running state because only one process is there. Okay. So, no need to look at the burst time. So, process P1 will enter the running state at 16 units of time. It needs CPU for 6 more units of time. So, at 22 units of time, process P1 has completed its task, will go to the terminated state. However, process P2 will come to the ready state at 27 units of time. So, CPU is idle for 5 units of time. Okay, so here it was idle for 1 unit and here it is idle for 5 units. So, process P2 will come to the ready state at 27 units. As only one process is there, it will be sent to the running state. So, process P2 will come to the running state at 27 units of time and it needs 9 units of time. So, at 36 units of time, process P2 will complete its task. Sometimes they may ask you how many units of time the process is idle. So if they ask you, you have to compute 1 plus 5, 6 units of time the process is idle to execute this process using the shortest job first scheduling algorithm. Now we need to compute the completion time of each process. Completion time of process P2 is 36, process P1 is 22, process P3 is 15. Okay, once we got the completion time, we can easily compute the turnaround time. Turnaround time is completion time minus arrival time. 22 minus 0 is 22, 36 minus 0 is 36, 15 minus 0 is 15. Is it clear? Are you able to understand it or not? Then they have asked the average waiting time. So first we need to compute the waiting time of each process. Waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus burst time. Here the burst time is only CPU burst time. Okay, so turnaround time of process P1 is 22 and CPU burst time is 4 plus 6 is 10, which is 22 minus 10 is 12. Similarly, process P2 turnaround time is 36 minus CPU burst time, which is 6 plus 9 is 15. So 36 minus 15 is 21. Similarly, process P3 is 15 is the turnaround time and CPU burst time is 2 plus 3 is 5. So 15 minus 5 is 10. So we got the waiting time of all the three processes. Now we can easily compute the average waiting time. Average waiting time is equal to sum of all the process waiting time by the number of process, which is equal to 12 plus 21 plus 10 by 3 is equal to 21 plus 12 is equal to 33. 33 plus 10 is 43. 43 by 3 is equal to how much? 3 by 42 will be 14. Okay. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? And then you have 1 by 3 is equal to 0.33. So you will roughly get 14.33 as the average waiting time to execute these three processes using the shortest job first scheduling algorithm. I hope you have understood this question. If you still have any doubts related to this question or related to the concepts which I have discussed in this video, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts as early as possible. Thank you for watching the complete video. Have a nice day.